What is the framework when it comes to creating monthly recurring revenue and retaining monthly recurring revenue? There's two steps here. You need to create monthly recurring revenue by generating sales and keep the monthly recurring revenue. There is a 5-step framework on maintaining and creating monthly recurring revenue. And in this video, I break down and I share with you the 5-step framework on how to make sure that you keep getting paid every single month, whether you're an online coach, a consultant, a course creator, or you sell software. In this video, you're gonna learn the 5 key steps to ensure that you create and you retain monthly recurring revenue inside of your business. Do you want to sell courses? Do you want to sell software? Maybe you want to create monthly recurring revenue with digital products. Well, this 5-step framework has been implemented by thousands. And for the first time, I'm going to share with you the exact framework that some of the big marketing agencies, coaches, digital entrepreneurs are implementing inside of their business with their team. So that way you can create much more results for your life and for your business. Now, inside of my business, there's a couple things that I sell. I sell online courses. I sell online software, and I sell marketing services and marketing solutions. All of that leads and creates monthly recurring revenue for me, where if I did not work, money still comes in. And I'm going to be sharing with you that framework to create a sustainable monthly recurring revenue for your business. So that way you can take this video, you as an entrepreneur, implement it, as well as you can share this video with your team. So that way they can implement it inside of your business to create sustainable monthly recurring revenue. It's easier nowadays, ladies and gentlemen, to get a customer, but what's the hardest part is keeping a customer. I remember I had a conversation with a friend of mine, and this friend of mine has over 25,000 people paying him every single month. And when I was on this call with this gentleman, he told me this is how he looks at it. Every single month that he gets the same customer to pay him on the following month is equivalent to getting a new customer. When you can shift your way of thinking, rather than putting all your eggs in a basket of focusing on just only getting new customers, if you can get a customer, but also keep a customer paying you every single month, that's how you create monthly recurring revenue. So I'm going to take you through this 5-step framework. We call this MSORS. I've already shared with you the first one, and I'm going to share with you what the S stands for, what the O stands for, what the R stands for, and what the last S stands for. Before I go into that, let me share with you a little bit about my business. In my business, I make something called monthly recurring revenue, also known as MRR. Monthly recurring revenue is the pinnacle of success for digital entrepreneurs. The reason why is because you only have to sell something one time and you get paid month over month. I want you to think about this. For example, I have an iPhone. I forget which number this is, but I have an iPhone. And when I bought this iPhone, when I bought the phone number, let's not talk about the actual device itself. When I bought the phone number, I started paying monthly on this. I actually got this phone number in 2005. And in 2005, I paid my first bill. Now, at that time, it wasn't actually me. I think at that time I was in middle school or going into junior high or something like that. And so my mom was the one that was paying the bill. Then I became an adult, and then that responsibility transitioned to me, and I've been paying the bill ever since. But since 2005, my carrier, my cell phone carrier, has been getting paid every single month for me to use that phone bill. Now, I want you to think about yourself and your journey. Is there ever a time that you're like, hey, I want to cancel the phone bill that you're using your cell phone device? Maybe you're watching this currently right now on a cell phone. Do you ever think to yourself like, you know what? I want to cancel my phone. That doesn't come to mind. No, because why? Because you want to stay connected, because it creates value for you. So monthly recurring revenue equals value for your customer. And how often is that value being delivered? That value is being delivered on a monthly basis, which is why they pay monthly to have access to whatever you're selling. So in my case, your case as well, having a cell phone, regardless of which device, I'm sure you've changed devices over the years, but your carrier is getting paid from you every single month. And most people don't wake up in the morning and saying, you know what, I'm not going to use my cell phone this week. So because I'm going to cancel it. That doesn't happen, right? Or, hey, you know what, I'm not going to use Instagram this month because I'm on a social media cleanse, as an example. I'm going to cancel my phone number. That doesn't happen. You still pay your cell phone, whether you use it or not. Why? Because the value outweighs the cost of the subscription. The way to create any time freedom is to have monthly recurring revenue. So monthly recurring revenue equals freedom. And in today's presentation or today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how you can create freedom for your life and for your business by having monthly recurring revenue, by delivering value to your customer every single month. That's what today is about. Now, in order to do that, we need to understand a framework, and this framework is called MSORS. MSORS is because what I've discovered is after studying how the wealthy is getting much more richer through their businesses, is that they're following this framework, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. And I'm going to be sharing with you this framework that I've discovered. So let's get started here. So the first M is going to be for marketing. And when we talk about marketing, we're talking about generating leads, generating sales opportunities, people who are genuinely interested in your product or services. Let me actually go ahead and share with you some of the different products or services that you could be selling to generate monthly recurring revenue. So for example, in my case, I sell online courses. I sell knowledge. And the reason I sell knowledge is because I can broadcast a message much faster than if someone flew to Las Vegas and sat down with me and I had to teach them what I knew and what I had discovered and teach them a process or a system. So I sell an online course, and the value of this is I sell it through a video. And what's cool about this video is this video can be exchanged for money, and I have unlimited scale. Okay, I have unlimited scale, so I can grow as much as I want. This is an example of a chart here. I have unlimited scale here. So I take a video, I take this video here, and then I sell that video for money. And because it's a video, I can sell it to one person. I can also sell it to 100 people. I can also sell it to 1,000 people, right? So I have unlimited scale with online courses. Another thing that I sell is I sell software, okay? My software company is called Progretta. That's one of my software companies. I have a few. I'll share with you. One of my software companies is Dollar Leads, where we have we sell leads, contacts. It's an AI-powered software that allows you to generate leads essentially for $1, right? And then I have another one, which is Progretta, which is my software, which is a white label of Go High Level that helps people manage those leads and turn those leads into actual sales opportunities and close those leads. The next software that I have is going to be Webinar Core, right? Webinar Core is a platform that I have that helps people broadcast their message on automated webinars where they can take their sales offer and record a pre-recorded video and sell their online courses, sell their software, sell their additional digital products, right? So the software, the reason that I chose to have software, so I'm just gonna call this S for software, I sell that for money, okay? I sell that for money, and then this also has unlimited scale, scale. So here, ladies and gentlemen, courses, that's one of my income streams. Another one is software. That's another one of my income streams. And then another income stream is going to be coaching, okay? Now, specifically, the type of coaching that I do is in group coaching calls. So where I take a group of people live and I bring them on a Zoom call, for example, and I will teach in a large group setting, and I sell access for money. And because it's in a group setting, I have unlimited scale, okay? What's consistent about my business is all of them, if you notice here, all of them have unlimited scale. This is huge here. Unlimited scale, unlimited scale, unlimited scale. So that means my time primarily goes into marketing. So as a CEO of your business, your job is primarily going to be going into marketing. So when I go back to MSORS, your primary focus is going to be right here in the marketing section, where your job is to generate sales opportunities. So marketing, if we look at the key performance indicator or the key metric that makes this work or not, the marketing is going to lead into what we call leads. Leads is the name, email, and phone number of your potential customer. How do you get from all your efforts as a business owner, as a CEO, how do you get all of awareness onto your product? That's marketing. Now let's go to the second component of this framework, which is the next S, which is now selling. Selling is the next framework or the next component of this framework of MSORS. So the key performance indicator, so like let's say that you're a team member now. So I'm gonna be talking to the leaders' employees. So if you're an entrepreneur and you run your business and you wanna send this video to your team members to really educate them on this framework, be sure to send them, because in this video, I'm gonna be talking to both of you. The team member who runs and operates the business, as well as the leader who's making the decisions for the company. The key performance indicator here for selling is going to be conversions. Essentially, how many people do you convert into a paying customer? So let's look at this as a funnel, okay? Let's look at this as a funnel and the concept of funneling. If the leader of the company is generating sales opportunities, okay? If the leader of the company is generating sales opportunities, so through all of their marketing efforts, so they're generating people. A portion of those people are gonna come here and be interested in the product. A portion of them are gonna be interested in the product. And then out of those people who are interested in the product, then you're gonna have an actual buyer. That buyer is the person that you went ahead and sold, all right? So that's what we're talking about when it comes down to marketing and selling. So let's go back into the framework here. Marketing is step 1. Step 2 is going to be selling. Now, step 3 in this framework is going to be onboarding. This is huge, ladies and gentlemen. I made a huge mistake inside of my business where I failed to focus on onboarding customers. Onboarding customers is when they actually start to adopt your product, okay? Adoption is the key here. How many people start to adopt it? And the key performance indicator here is going to be usage, tracking the usage of your product. So here, onboarding's job is to get your customer to actually use the product that they just purchased. So if your customer, if you're doing all this work to market to customers, because remember, what is the goal here? The goal here is to have monthly recurring revenue. This is actually my streams. So the goal here is to have monthly recurring revenue. Why? Because monthly recurring revenue leads to freedom, ladies and gentlemen. We want freedom. That's why you're doing this in the first place. I know that's why I'm doing this. I want freedom. I want to be able to take my wife and my daughter. I want to fly to Hawaii and have fun and hang out and be there for a week, be there for 2 weeks, be there for 3 weeks. Wealth is determined by how long you can go without working. That's how wealth is determined. The person who has $25 in their bank account, they don't have any wealth. Why? Because they don't have any time. They have to go to work tomorrow morning. That person is far from wealthy. The more time that you have between when you have to go back to work, I'm not talking about getting to go back to work like as if it's a choice. When I'm talking about when you have to go back to work, the distance between that time means that you're more wealthy. So if you can get a week off without having to work, then you're more wealthier than the person who has to go back to work tomorrow just to make ends meet. Now, if you can get a month off, now that's a new level. If you can get 2 months off, whoa, baby, you're talking about a whole new level. If you could take a year off, then you're at a whole new level. How cool would it be to take 2 years off? 2 years off from working. Now, that is wealth, ladies and gentlemen. And the goal of wealth is to take freedom. Now, a tool to create freedom, like I shared with you so far, is monthly recurring revenue. And in this framework, we have a couple key performance indicators that identify how to create sustainable monthly recurring revenue. So we talked about marketing. Next one is going to be selling. Now that you market to generate leads, you got to turn those leads into actual paying customers. And that's where selling comes into play. Okay. This is selling, ladies and gentlemen, is when you greet a customer, you qualify them, you see if there's a good fit, you present an opportunity for them to buy your product, and then you close the deal. So the key performance indicator to identify if you're growing or if you're declining is conversions. Now that someone has purchased your product, let's say it's your online course, let's say it's your marketing software, let's say it's a digital online product that they pay for every single month. Now that you sold them, that's not where success is. Success is going to be down here. Wait till the end as I tell you what this actually means, because this S does not mean success. This S means another word. Now that you've onboarded your customer, onboarding your customer simply means that you're creating usage where your customers actually have adopted your product. How successful would this company be for me to pay monthly if I didn't use this phone? If I did not use this phone, let's say for 3 months, around the fourth month, I'm gonna say, do what? I'm gonna call the company. I'm gonna cancel. I have no interest in paying for something I'm not using. So to create long-term monthly recurring revenue is to make sure that your customers have adopted the product that they purchased, whether it's an online course or if it's a software or if it's a coaching program that they're actually using it. And your key performance indicator is going to be usage. So you want to make sure that your customer is logging in at least on a weekly basis for your product or your service to ensure that they stay paying monthly. The next one is going to be retention. So in retention simply means that once you've acquired your customer, you've gotten your customer, is to ensure that they pay long term, okay? That they pay long term. So here, retention for me, I did not focus on retention. I ended up implementing retention actually in the last couple of years. When I started my journey of building a monthly recurring revenue business through courses, software sales, coaching, and things of that nature, I realized the leaky bucket in my business was me not focusing on retention. So I got up to this stage for a period of time, and I was making great money. I was making, 5 figures a month. But then when I wanted to take it to the next level, I realized the success for my business is when I get a customer that they stay every single month, because now you're growing your pool of monthly recurring revenue, okay? Retention. So let me give you an example of retention. Let me give you an example here. So let's say, for example, that we call these cohorts. When you bring in a group of customers, they're called a cohort. So I'm gonna use an example of a cohort. So let's say that on month 1, so this means month 1, month 2, I'm just gonna use 2-month cycles or 3-month cycles in this scenario. So month 1, month 2, month 3. Let's say that I bring in 10 customers into my monthly recurring revenue business on month 1. This is gonna be cohort 1, okay? Then let's say that on month 2, I bring in 12 customers. This is gonna be cohort 2. And let's say on month 3, I bring in another 10 customers. This is gonna be cohort 3. So this group of customers that came in from this month is considered a cohort. Now, what happens to a business if I bring in 10 customers? Like, let's say I'm only looking at customer acquisition. I'm only looking at acquiring customers. And my goal is monthly recurring revenue. What happens if I keep, out of the 10 customers that come in, after a month, I end up losing 7 customers. So I'm down 3. So I have 3 left, okay? And then in this, I lose 6 customers. And then here, I lose another 7. Let's use that as a scenario. This is where I failed inside of my business in monthly recurring revenue, where although the money was great, I had enough money coming in, I didn't realize I had a leaky bucket inside of my business. Because if I have 3 remaining, in this scenario, 6 remaining, and then 3 remaining, this is a total at the end of 3 months. I have 3, 6, which is 9. 9 plus 3 is 12. So I have a total of 12 customers that are actually paying me after 3 months. When I should have had a total, let's do the math here. 10 plus 10 is 20. 20 plus, this is 32. This is 32. So all the effort that I did, so this is black here, represents how many customers that I, let's say as a CEO, acquired. Let's say it was through sales calls or webinars or whatever way that I got those customers. This black here represents the customers that came into my business. This red here represents the customers that canceled, that said from this group. So from the group of 10, how many of them canceled? Well, in month 1, for example, in cohort 1, month 1, 7 people canceled, leaving me 3 customers, okay? Month 2 here, 12 people came in. I did all my hustling. I called, I set up sales appointments. I worked on closing deals. I followed up with people. I did a webinar. I got the customer, 12 customers, and then 6 customers left. Now, out of those 6 customers, that out of the 12 customers, 6 customers left remaining that's actually paying me is now 6. Now let's go to month 3. I did all the work. I'm hustling. I'm getting sales appointments. I'm following up. I'm doing deals back and forth, back and forth. And then how many customers did I get? I got 10 customers, but 7 canceled. I got 3 left. That leaves me with a total in this scenario of 12 customers that are actually active customers. But I acquired 32. Let's just do some math here, okay? Let's just do some math. So this is what should have been. This is what should have been. And then this is actually what is. This is actual, okay? What is. So if I pull out my phone, let's say that I'm selling a product that I charge $399, okay? $399, and you multiply that by how many people were down here? 32. So what should have been, I should have been charging $399 for my product, multiply that by 32. What should have been is I would have been making, in that 12-month time frame, I would have been making $12,000. 12 grand. Okay, that's what I would have been making, is $12,000. But now let's talk about what actually is. I take $399 and I multiply by how many was in the green? 12. So I take $399. Here's what is $399, and I'll multiply that by 12, which is 4788. Which is 4788. Ladies and gentlemen, not even half. So all the effort that you did went in vain because you're not even half stayed. Now, the game of business is just a game of zeros. What's the difference between a millionaire and a decamillionaire? Just how many zeros? What's the difference between a billionaire and a millionaire? Just how many zeros? So you're still playing the same game, because if you just add a 0, let's say instead of 300 or 32, it's 320, and instead of 12, it's 120, right? Bigger numbers. All the difference is in this scenario is just how many zeros that you have. So in this scenario, if you were just gonna add zeros, let's just take away the K here, it would be $120,000, right? If we just added a 0. That's $120,000, and if we just add a 0 here, that is gonna be $47,000. Which one would you rather have? $120,000 or $47,000? The difference between the two is this one thing here, which is called, where is it? Which is called retention. That's the difference here. That's the difference here. The difference between the two of $120,000 and $47,000 in, let's say it's monthly income or annual recurring revenue, which whenever it is, let's use the idea that it was monthly income, monthly revenue. You may say to yourself, hey, Andy, you just gave me an example of making an extra $4,000 a month recurring. You just gave me some math that showed me $4,000 a month recurring. That would help me tremendously in my life. If you don't understand what I just shared with you, this is why most of you would not actually make $4,000 reoccurring, because you would have a leaky bucket. Remember here, ladies and gentlemen, in this scenario, what I just showed you was, when I showed you this cohort system here, what I just showed you was that you're losing customers every single month. So if you're on track in this scenario, if you're on track, you lost 7 customers in 1 month. Let's say that you did not work the following month. That's how you would go from 12 customers in month 4 to take away 7. And then after that, you're gonna go down to 0 in less than 2 months, right? Because if you're on track to lose 7 customers a month, let's say in this scenario, you gain 32 customers, but you're literally trending every single month, you're losing between 6 to 7 customers every single month. So that means if by the end of month 3, you are at 12 customers, and every month you're losing between 6 to 7 customers, how many months do you have left? That's less than 2 months, ladies and gentlemen. So you do all of this work to acquire customers, but then within 2 months, shortly after, within 2 months after this third cohort, you end up not having any. But if the person who does it correctly the first time, if they get 32 customers and they keep 32 customers, that's the difference. They keep 32 customers, paying them every single month, then that creates a different result, right? So the result that we're looking to create is long-term sustainable recurring revenue. This is why, ladies and gentlemen, when I started this with you, I mentioned the word sustainable, because the goal here is to sustainably create monthly recurring revenue. So the metric that you're going to follow and track every single month is going to be something called churn. Okay? Churn, which is a percentage of how many people cancel. That's what you're going to be tracking, is how many people are canceling your service and product. This will tell you where you need to make changes and how long is your run rate. So if you have a 1% churn per year, let's just use that as a scenario. If you have an average of 1% churn per year, that means 1% of your customers cancel per year. Technically speaking, you have 100 years until you go down to zero. That person is wealthy. They have 100 years. That's more than their lifetime, right? That person has a long time to go. But now, if you have an 80% churn in 1 year, that means you have less than 1 year inside of your business. You're going to be out of a business very soon. So what the metric that you want to track, my friend, is something called churn, which is a percentage of people canceling. So here's what you learned so far. Number one is marketing. Marketing is when the CEO, the top leaders are marketing. They're creating podcasts. You're creating podcasts. You're getting on stages. You're marketing to generate sales opportunities in the form of what we call leads. Now you have the name, email, and phone number. Does that create sustainable monthly recurring revenue? Not yet. It's when those leads are converted into actual paying customers. In the world of monthly recurring revenue, those are called subscribers. A subscriber is someone who pays every single month. So when you pay your cell phone bill every single month, that means you are a subscriber. Okay, you're paying every single month. Now, to get those customers to stay with you, you can't just give them your product and say, "I hope all is well. Good luck. Good luck on what you bought." Why? Because many times they're gonna say, "You know what? I'm a little bit confused as to how to use this new thing that I just bought from you." So therefore, they don't use it. If they don't use it, that creates churn, also known as cancellation. So if they don't use it, then you're going to lose the customer. So to make sure that they use it, you must onboard them. I remember I use cell phones as an analogy because my previous business, I used to run a cell phone store. And I used to sell these cell phones. So every single time that I sold the cell phone, to prevent the customer to come back and cancel their subscription with us, because I would get a commission. I would get a small commission by selling one of these iPhones. When a customer if I would just give away a customer, let's say they came to us and they bought a phone from us. This was like when iPhone was brand new, right? This is in the early 2010s, and people were still figuring out how to adopt iPhones, and it was iPhone technology and Apple's technology was kind of new to people. When I would get a customer and I would say, "Hey, do you want to try an iPhone?" And they would say, "Yeah, I heard all the marketing." Boom, boom, boom. I heard all the marketing. Then they would come into our store. And when they come to that store, I would be the one selling them. And then I would get a commission as a salesperson. So Apple would help in marketing to get customers or to get leads. And then those people would receive marketing emails and marketing blitz. And it'll be like, "Hey, you can get a phone for, maybe you've seen Verizon commercial or a T-Mobile commercial where it's like $0 down and come into the store and get a cell phone from us," right? Then when they come into the store, my job would be to convert them. That's a cell phone, right? My job would be to convert them and turn that person who walked into my store into an actual subscriber. And then after, what I would do is I would sit down with them for 30 to 45 minutes and I would actually show them around the device. I would show them around the phone and I would show them how this phone works and how they can use it inside their actual life. Why? Because we're looking to create usage. Because if I did not do that onboarding session, if I did not show them how to use it, they would come back the day after, maybe 2 days later, and say, "This is not for me." And I would say, "Why?" And they would say, "I don't know. I just don't know how to use it. I'm good. Let me just cancel it." And then they would ask for a refund or cancel the transaction. And I would lose my commission. So to make it work, my job would be to make sure that they use it. So that's where the onboarding comes in. So if you sell an online course, for example, your job is to get on a call with them or have pre-recorded videos to show them how to actually use the product that they just purchased, right? So you can do that through a phone call. You can do that through help articles. You can do that through an email sequence. You could do that through an onboarding funnel to get them to actually start using it. Now that they're using it, over time, you're going to lose customers along the journey. It could be through competitors. It could be through change of direction. Let's say that you sell business online courses and they decide to no longer run an online business and they decide to go work in real estate and they completely shift their direction. Well, if that's the case, that's where churn comes into play. But most churn is controllable. Most churn you can actually control by shifting your product and educating your customers on the value of your product, okay? Last but not least, what creates success in a digital business? The last S, and the word is not success. Believe it or not, actually, the word has nothing to do with the customer's journey, and it's more to do with you and your team and your operations. Last word is called scaling, okay? Scaling. Now, scaling is, that's a G there. Scaling is to do what you've done one time and multiply it. I keep messing up this G. To do what you've done one time and multiply it. If you notice, when I explained at least my businesses here, what's highlighted in green is the unlimited scalability. So for example, I decided to implement a business that does not have a cap. I don't have a cap inside of my business. I don't have a limit of how many people I can put on Zoom. As of today, I just recorded a Zoom call with 800 attendees at this one event. And I put them all on Zoom, and it was just me speaking. 800 business owners all in one Zoom call. And I had the capacity in that Zoom room to have 1,000 people. And if I pay Zoom an extra couple of dollars, I could actually put 2,000 people into that Zoom room, up to 1 million people in Zoom, and then we just have to add more Zoom rooms. So I have unlimited scale inside of my business, right? In my coaching. Now, courses is pre-recorded videos. A pre-recorded video, similar to YouTube, can be watched 1 billion times. So there's no limit to scaling. There's no limit to how many people can watch my videos. Software is something that's created one time and then sold over and over and over and over and over and over again. It's like a Google Doc. Google created the Google document software to write documents. And then now they go to millions of people and they say, hey, all you millions of people, you each can create thousands upon thousands of documents inside of this. So there's unlimited scale. So if you're looking to create sustainable revenue, you want to have a system that helps you grow your monthly recurring revenue by scaling your team. So this one here is going to be your team. The most people try to build a monthly recurring revenue business by themselves, and it becomes extremely difficult. The reason why is because if your competitor is hiring more staff, if your competitor is implementing more artificial intelligence, if your competitor is investing more into marketing, you're going to lose your customer to your competitor. I'm going to show you where the worst place to be in a monthly recurring revenue business is. So let's say that there's levels to this, right? So let's say that I'm just going to call it 1, 2, 3, okay? Let's say that there's levels to monthly recurring revenue success. Let's call this MRR success. Let's say in these levels here, level 1 is that you are super successful. You're in the top percentage of your category. So let's say that you're the top 2% of your industry and you're super successful here, okay? Then you have here the bottom. The bottom is financially not so successful. And what's common between all of them is that they're very small. And here, let's say in this scenario, you're in the 95 percentile. And then here, you're in the middle. You're what we call average, okay? So let me erase this. You're what we call average here. And being average, you're in the 3%, which makes a total of 5% at the top, okay? So you're at the 3% here. The worst place to be, ladies and gentlemen, is right here. That's the worst place to be, is average. Because let's say down here at the 95%, let's say financially, you're only making, I don't know, $2,000 a month. Let's say you're making $2,000 a month, $2K a month. And then up here, let's say that you're making $100K a month. Anything between 2K a month and 100K a month puts you in the average percentile in monthly recurring revenue subscription businesses held by entrepreneurs. This is really bad to be. The reason why is because your customers are going to go one of the two directions. They're either going to go to another provider that is super successful because those people have an infrastructure that you don't have. Meaning, I'll give you an example. In my coaching business, we have coaches in addition to me. Plus, we have 24-hour technical support. So any of our customers can go in. We have a chat widget that they can send an email, or they can actually talk to someone live. Someone on my team will hop on Zoom. So the reason that I talk about scaling here, so let's go back to over here. The scaling is you have a team. The lack of a team means that you completely disregard this section and you stay small. Because if you don't have a team, then that means you're gonna stay small. So by staying small, what ends up happening is that your income is limited. So that means you're the one that's doing everything. And the reason that people stay with you, the reason that you retain subscribers, the reason that you do onboarding so well, the reason that you can market and generate leads so well is because you do everything. And because you do everything, this puts you in a place where your income is limited. So yes, you can make $2,000 a month, and let's say you're an online coach and you charge $200 a month. Why? Because the super successful charge $200 a month. So let's say that you copy the person who's super successful in the top 2%, but they have a team. They have processes, they have systems that do not require the business owner. But you by yourself, as not having a team, and you're not so successful and you stay very small, which is very below average, which is actually the norm for most at 95%, you're making $2,000 a month. So you get 10 customers. Now, here's the thing. If you're going to try to compete with the two super successful, then what ends up happening is that you have to get on more Zoom calls, more phone calls, because you don't have, let's say, support. So you give your customers your cell phone number and you say, hey, text me if you have any issues. Just send a message to me if you have any issues. Reach out to me if you have any issues. And they do reach out to you. They're paying you $200 a month. You're only making $2,000. And if you live in the United States, $2,000 is not enough to live in the United States. So what you do is you make $2,000. You're an online coach. Plus, on top of that, you work a full-time job. And this is more of your side hustle. And people get caught in the trap right here. People get caught in this trap in the not so successful in the very small operations. So what they do is they aspire to be like the super successful. So they grow and they get to the average, they get to the average level. So they grow their business just enough where now they're not so trapped. And let's say that they're making $10,000, $15,000, $25,000 a month recurring revenue in the average. But here's what happens, ladies and gentlemen, which I can share with you in another video. Is you remember what I talked about the cohort that I was explaining to you earlier about customers canceling? When you're in the average, the middle, this starts to grow. The reason why is because your competitor, who is in the super successful, they have better systems, better processes than you, and they're able to offer more value to your customer every single month. Because remember, your customer is paying for a value every single month. So the super successful is able to offer more value. Let's say maybe in the average, you're not able to offer 24/7 support. Maybe everything has to be ran by you. So when your customer asks you a question, your company a question, it takes your team 3 days to respond because it has to come from you. Or let's say that your customers has different challenges and it takes a week for you to resolve those challenges where the super successful can get it done in 30 minutes or less. So your customer naturally gravitates towards the super successful, depending on what's important to them. Either what's important to them is having access to the coach itself or the person, the entrepreneur. And then so they gravitate towards the not so successful people and they start paying them what they're worth. But then, those people aren't successful. So they end up losing the customers anyway. So the customer who's in the average section, who's the vendor is in the average section, they end up gravitating towards the super successful. So in this world of monthly recurring revenue, you only have one option, ladies and gentlemen. You only have one option. You must be super successful. That's the whole point I'm sharing with you. You must be super successful. You must be in the top 2% of your category in your industry because your customers end up leaving. If you're average, your customers end up going one of the two directions and your leaky bucket starts to leave. Your customers start to leave. If you're in the not so successful and you're very small, what happens is you don't have enough income to sustainably run your business in the first place. So you end up losing customers because your customers are going back to the super successful. Your only option to long-term, sustainably have monthly recurring revenue is to have a super successful business. There's two elements to scaling, ladies and gentlemen. Element number one is going to be a team, okay? This is a team. You're gonna need a team. And then element number two is going to be artificial intelligence. AI, artificial intelligence. And I'm talking about more than just ChatGPT, artificial intelligence. And then number three is going to be automations. Automations is when you take your process, your systems, the process for what one person does, and you can automatically do it. So for example, let's say, I remember when I was in the not so small, when I started, when a customer would buy my online course, here would be the process. I would talk to that customer and I would say, hey, my online course costs $300. You know, I see the big guys do it. My course costs $300. And then they would buy my course. And then I would say, okay, now it's time for me to show you how to use that course. Do you want to schedule a call? I'm busy this week. I'm going to be with my family. Do you want to schedule a call with me in 2 weeks? And they would say, sure. So they would schedule a call with me in 2 weeks. Within those 2 weeks, the customer would say, you know what? I decided to go another route. I canceled. And I didn't get to the onboarding stage because I was overwhelmed and I started losing customers, right? So that's an example here. An example of an automation is I can actually send that customer, as soon as they purchase, I automatically send them an email and a text message with pre-recorded videos of how to use this technology or the product that they just purchased. Therefore, onboarding them automatically. That's an example here of automations. An example of artificial intelligence is the output. How can I multiply the output of my team's efforts? So an example of artificial intelligence, let's say, for example, when a customer sends an email with a question. So one of the things that I do inside of my business with artificial intelligence is we have documentations that I've developed of some of the most frequently asked questions about my products and services. If a customer goes to, let's say, our chat widget, they can actually ask our AI and ask AI the question, and AI will scan all of our past conversations with customers, as well as it will scan all of our documentation of most of our frequently asked questions, and AI will actually answer the customer before a human does. So these two are implemented before we even get to the human. Now, who manages these two? It's gonna be the team. This is how you get to be super successful. And the way to get to build a team is to hire a virtual assistant. You just got to start with one. We call these virtual assistant, where my virtual assistant team is in the Philippines, and I have team members in Pakistan and India. But I started with just one. I just hired my first one in the Philippines. And then once I hired my first virtual assistant in the Philippines, I then discovered that they can be the one to help manage all of this for me. So really, to grow and become super successful, your journey is to start with your product. Of course, you got to have your product, but then you got to build your team first, because if you can build your team first, maybe yellow wasn't the best option, so let me use purple in this scenario. If you build your team first down here, okay? If you build your team first, then their job is to manage your customer retention while tracking churn every single month, and their job is to onboard those customers, making sure that they are actually using the product, and your team is also responsible for converting people. Your job, my friend, is just marketing. You market your business, and then your team manages all of this. Your team manages selling, your team manages onboarding, your team manages customer retention, and your team manages hiring additional team members to grow your business. Start with one virtual team member. All your focus is on generating leads through all your marketing, and your business should automatically sell to customers, onboard those customers, retain those customers, and scale. If you follow this 5-step framework here, I can assure you that your business is going to start growing. You're going to start experiencing much more revenue, much more scale. And if you need help, down below, there's a link to learn more about how you can work with us and schedule a call where my team can actually do a deep dive with you on your business. I hope this video was valuable to you. And somewhere around here, you can like, Comment, tell us what you learned inside of this video, as well as subscribe, so that way you get notified with future videos. I'll see you on the next one.